back to episode 2. I'm back with Ronnie and Jeanette, all the way from Dumfries in Scotland, now living in El Chopo, Arboleas. And thanks, again for agreeing to speak with us and having a nice chat. Straight in with a hard question. How do you spend your day? What's a typical day?
What's my typical? Well, as long as I've
Other
got
than the
work
refurbishment,
there,
I know
as
you're
long
doing- yeah,
as
yeah.
I haven't got this on the go, my typical day is probably I get up in the morning, go for a walk, go down the hill, nice walk all the way down to Los Carrascas, back up or up over the hills.
Depends whether we were out the night
No,
before.
you're not here.
All right.
That's not a typical day because you're not here. You're only here on holiday.
Yeah. So, come on, the typical day. So, we've done the walking around the hills and then
do that, and then probably do a bit of gardening and pottering about is what a woman does. We potter.
Okay.
Right? Which men don't understand what women
I
say when
potter.
they potter.
I love a potter at the
I
weekend.
pottered about till about 1:30. And I'll have some lunch. Then I'll probably, especially now because the weather's really lovely, I'll get on my sun lounger and I'll read my book. I'll dip in and out of the pool.
Are you in that group that takes pictures of their toes?
I did that
feet.
yesterday.
Not toes,
I did
feet.
that yesterday.
Have you got an Instagram?
No.
Oh, good. That's
Well,
all
I
right.
did it yesterday because my brother's coming on Saturday.
Okay.
And I said to Ronnie, put your feet next to mine, and I took a picture with the sun lounger in the pool to send it to my brother because he's here on
I
Saturday.
didn't know that was the kind of thing that people do, because the first time that happened was when we were at the festival. We hadn't known each other very long. He said, oh, put your feet out.
Thankfully, I'm not sending anyone any pictures of my feet. That's a no.
So yes, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I said, what are you taking a picture of my feet for?
Yeah, so that's my, and then obviously I sit there till about 3:30 and then potter around a bit more and then watch a movie, watch a series on Netflix. I can film that. Sometimes it gets to 4 o'clock and I don't know where the day's gone or.
And then that applies to the week. Where's the week gone?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes
Jeanette
I
never
think-
knows what day of the week it is.
I never know what day of the week it is.
When you're working, you always know what day of the week it is.
But not here.
But
But you
not-
don't need to know what day of the week is here. And you don't
Yeah,
need
but
to know what
even-
time it is.
But even though when I'm retired, I still know the day of the week.
Well,
But when I come here, I don't. I kind of lose it.
Yeah, well, no, I work, so I do need to know the day of the week. But then on the
Yeah.
other hand, I don't ever watch the weather. The weather's going to be what the weather's
Oh,
going to be.
I don't do that.
Oh, I
Jeanette,
do watch
I
the
open
weather.
the
That's
window.
obsessed.
I open the window. It's what it is. What can I do?
Well,
Jeanette's obsessed with
I
weather.
open the window, I open the curtains, and I know it's going to be sunny, but I do like to look at my weather app. And I know it's going to say it's going to be 33 today, but I still like to look. But I send a screenshot, send it
Number
to
one,
Ronnie.
after walking in the hills, take a look at weather app. Take a picture of toes
Yes.
over pool. Yes.
The only thing-
Send them to Ronnie because it's working.
The only thing I do in Dumfries with the weather is check it for the golf the next day.
So,
Is it going to be pissing it down, or am I
Yeah,
going to be able to
but
play?
essentially, a typical day is a nice potter.
Oh,
Yeah. So
absolutely.
that was a nice question. We've covered lots of
Yeah.
pros, obviously, in our previous chat. And well,
Yeah.
maybe more on this one, but
Yeah, very
there's got to be
relaxing.
some bad points as well. What are the bad points to? Well, I don't know if it's just living in Spain or living in Arboleas particularly, but is there some bad points?
No.
You're a little bit more isolated. The transport here is
I don't
not
find
what.
this a bad point.
Well, it's not bad, but I mean, you do need to jump in your car for most things here. Whereas in Alicante or Dumfries, you
It's
don't.
not a hassle to me though, because I'm used to it.
It's not a hassle, but it's just something that you have to be aware of. If you want bars and restaurants outside your
The only
front
bad
door,
point
they're
I
not
really
there.
find, there is one bad point that I really find,
Yeah.
which you don't know because you've not been here and you don't believe me anyway, is in January.
Did you think Ronnie's getting a little bit of stick tonight because he
In
hasn't been here?
January and
We can always cut
February.
here and have the rest of it.
January and February, I kept telling Ronnie how cold it is here.
Yeah. Okay.
Now he
In the
wouldn't
winter,
believe
in the
me.
winter. in the
January and February.
Yeah.
He wouldn't believe me.
Because I was here at Christmas and it was lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said to him, it is -5 outside. The cars are frozen over. There's ice on the rooftops. Here it was.
What?
Yes,
She
it
wanted,
was.
she wanted
It
a
was
log burner
cold.
put in, I said, not yet. Not
Well,
yet.
I live in Arboleas as well,
It was cold.
but can't remember having to come out.
The cars here were frozen with ice. I had ice
Yeah,
round
maybe
the pool.
twice in the morning in February. I had to come out and use the kettle.
Come
I know
on.
you shouldn't, but I did.
it's cold. And the thing with these houses are,
Yeah.
they're not
In the
insulated.
UK, they're more insulated.
So you put your heating on,
Yeah,
and
tile
your
floors.
house can be lovely and warm,
Yeah.
but you go out, you knock it all off, especially if you've got a pellet burner, because you can't leave run. You go out, and you come back in, and the house is freezing, Baltic.
Yeah.
And then it has to warm up again. And then,
But I was here over Christmas.
no, that's
And
not,
for
that's
me,
not cold.
It was fine.
Yeah, well,
I
we always
sat
have our
outside.
party outside in
Yeah.
December,
I
you
That's
sat
not
know.
Christmas, is it?
when the sun was
No.
out.
That's not winter, love.
and
Very
the-
mild.
Winter's
Well,
January,
well,
February, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
I can't sit outside in Dumfries and
No, but Ronnie,
Christmas time.
Ronnie, that's January,
watching the sun go
February.
down over the hill. I can't do
Yes.
that.
Well, no, and also in fairness, we did have a bit of cold in February, but we also hit temperatures of 22, 24
That's what
in
I'm
February.
Yeah.
So it's hit and miss, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as, everyone keeps saying, what's the average weather? There isn't these
There
days.
isn't an average
Courtesy of
weather.
global warming or
Yes.
whatever the heck's going
That
on.
was a
Yeah.
massive plus for me when I was here at Christmas and I watched the sun go down, we had a glass of wine out there, you know, and you took a picture and it's one of the best pictures.
One of the
you could
pluses I
take.
do
It
find,
was
sorry,
beautiful.
we're rambling now.
No, you're not
sorry.
rambling.
One of the pluses that I do find here, which we compare a lot to the Alicante area, because obviously
We
we,
do,
had a
yeah,
place there for
yeah.
7 years, and I lived there from February last year till October. One of the things I do find here is that we don't have the humidity that you have on the coast. And here, I find the hot temperatures here much more easier to live with, much more manageable.
Yeah.
Much more.
I've never
Massively.
heard that one, I've never thought of that before.
Yeah, no, it's true. On the coast, the humidity is terrible, but here
The other thing that
it's
was surprising for me, Alicante had more mosquito bites than I have here. And I thought going further south,
Yeah.
it's going to be worse.
yeah.
But
Or further away from the coast.
well,
you
actual
think,
fact,
yeah.
when
Yeah.
I went to bed in Alicante, I used to have them all over. But here I might have one or two on my legs, bottom of
Yeah.
my legs, but nothing like Alicante.
No.
I don't know why that is, because I would have thought moving further south from Alicante to here, it would
Yeah.
be worse. You're closer to bloody Africa. But
Well, they always say, and I must admit, I've never really been bothered by, look, you're going to get mosquitoes, guys, you're going to get flies. We're in a warm country. I wouldn't say that they're kind of, you know, that much of a problem that you've really got to worry about it. And to
absolutely.
be honest, I've never been really troubled by mosquitoes, but I think they always say, you know, if you're near to deposits of stagnant water, for example,
Exactly.
then you're going to get far greater numbers of them. So as long as you don't buy a house by a stagnant water deposit, then you shouldn't have really too much problem.
But I was
It
surprised.
doesn't
that
matter where you go
here-
in Spain, you're going to get something. I mean, it's like we say, in the Alicante area, it was all, we had snakes there, because there used to be snakes that used to come around by the pool and stuff. We had snakes
But the
there. Whenever you go in
mosquitoes,
Spain,
the
you're going to get this
mosquitoes
stuff.
was a surprise to me. I thought they'd be worse here.
I
And
know.
I was ready for it. I was ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's definitely worse than
I know sometimes
Well,
we
we
get
were
a
on
lot of,
Alicante. I mean, we were on the coast, but I wouldn't have thought that would have been a factor for mosquitoes. But
It was
well,
the
no, we
humidity.
get a
that-
lot of people can kind of compare in our area to Huercanavera, we're kind of next door, you know, and again, it's horses for courses. Lots of people will pay big money in the UK to live in a place with active animal farming, with donkeys.
Yeah.
You know, look at what they pay for a house in the New Forest, and the donkeys eat all your plants in the garden, or the ponies, and crap all over it.
Yeah.
So that's what you get in Huercanavera. They've got active animal farms, you know, so often in the summer the smell is ripe, but along with that, it does. There's no
Yeah.
doubt attracts a lot more flies
Yeah,
and a lot
exactly.
more insects. So you see a lot of
Yeah.
the houses up there, they cater for it by massive
Like
overcovering
screens.
screens all
Yeah.
over the pools and stuff.
Yeah.
I've never found it that bad in this location
No,
to ever
no,
have to
no,
worry.
no,
I've really got
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
of these fly screen enclosures or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
But what is there anything you kind of miss about life in the UK? Probably it's too short for you to probably say, but is there
To
anything
be fair,
you miss about
I'm
life in
just
the
gonna say
UK?
it's different for me because I've only just retired, and retiring is a big step. I
Yeah.
haven't even moved to Spain yet. That's another big step.
Do you still feel like you're on holiday, really?
Well,
When you are on
yes
holiday.
and no, yes and no.
You are on holiday.
Yeah, I was working, even when I finished, a bit of a painting job too. But
Look, he was a rubber expert, and yeah, I don't think you're giving enough credence to
He's
this.
on
Really.
holiday. He's always on a bloody holiday. When he gets here, he won't be on holiday anymore. I tell you, I've got a list of jobs for him.
I think he's worked that one out already. I don't know.
well, I thought I ticked off most of them.
Oh, there for now. Wait me come back.
I love ladies that do lists.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there's a lot of them about, Ronnie, I've discovered this.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we're going back to the UK on a little holiday. I've left you this list.
Yeah, but you know what? You do it gently. You only give them a couple, because if you give them the whole list, they're upset with you. So you give him a little few, and then he thinks he hasn't got much, but you keep adding.
I know
each
that
day.
you've got friends who are ladies at list, and I know you have, so yes, and I know what these lists involve. And they're very long.
Yeah.
But at this time of year, you can only work till about 1, 2 o'clock.
Yeah, when it's hot
That's
like this.
We'll, if I've got any jobs to do, I mean, we did one this morning, bit of weeding, but did it in the morning, 1 or 2 o'clock, that's it, finished.
In the pool,
There
then,
is-
to cool
yeah.
off.
There is no more work.
But what you know, that's not what you miss. Is there anything you
Oh,
miss
is there
in the
anything
UK?
I miss in the UK? I don't really think there is, other than, I don't know.
I mean, golf, for
No,
me...
she's not talking about you. You're not
Oh,
living
okay.
here.
Oh,
Yeah, but come on, he might be
You
missing
can't
something.
miss it,
He
yeah?
might be missing going to Greg's, you don't
How
know.
can he miss the UK? He's living in the UK.
I miss Greg's sausage rolls on a daily
Oh, I
basis.
miss Greg's sausage rolls, yes. I miss Greg's sausage rolls.
I know we can get them down the road
Yes.
from Iceland and cook them ourselves, but that's not the same as walking into Greg's, is it?
There is certain, well actually when Ronnie comes over, he brings me over Nescafe Gold,
Right, okay.
he brings me over gravy granules out of Aldi,
Yeah.
he brings me the cling film and the foil out of Tesco's,
So now what are you going to do? You know, when he moves over full time,
Well,
who's going to be
whenever-
your supplier?
and when everyone comes on holiday they're going to bring me stuff.
Who's going to be your gravy mule?
Yeah, I do miss things like that, I must admit. I don't miss much about the country, it's just like some of the things. You
Food
like
products,
food
essentially,
products, food
yeah.
products,
Food
and chocolate,
Right.
chocolate, oh
Yeah.
UK chocolate, yeah.
Well, that's not English chocolate, because the English are, well, I suppose they do make some chocolate, don't
Yeah,
they? But really,
that's UK chocolate.
Yeah.
I know it's
It is.
American, really.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I do miss
It is
that.
Really not a lot then.
Maltesers.
What have you, this is, we get asked all the time, what have you found to be be honest, the biggest cost of living since you bought a place in Spain? And by that I mean kind of, is it the electric, is it the poor maintenance, is it, whatever, what
It's an
Ronnie
interesting...
pays the bills so he can answer that.
It's an interesting conversation we had about cost of living when I went out with a couple of the guys from here. That they thought it was quite cheap for the food. I don't, I mean, I'm an Aldi shopper back home. If you're a Sainsbury's shopper back home, I guess it's going to be a little bit more expensive. But I think still our biggest cost here is going to be food overall. But
I
it's the
think so.
one-offs. It's the one-offs. I mean, we've got a pool. We had the pump went, we had the filter went, and they were like,
Hadn't planned on that.
several hundred
You
euros.
got the
here,
money,
several
but you
hundred
didn't
euros
plan
there.
on them.
And a guy fitted it, a friend locally fitted it for us fairly cheap, so it could have got really expensive. But it's the one-offs, I guess, things like that are quite expensive. I think poll tax or community charge here is a fraction of where it is back home. So
Yeah.
overall, it's probably slightly cheaper here, but I've still got this argument that most people here think that food is quite cheap. I think it's your biggest cost. Electricity you mentioned, I mean, my bills the other day were €55. We got a 3-bedroom villa, and that
And the
includes
pool.
the pool. So it was €55. Okay, this is a summer one, so it's going to be lower. In the winter, I think the highest one was about €190. But if I compare that to the UK, I've got a 1-bed flat that I'm renting at the minute, and that was £200 for the month,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is €220.
And
that
you're at
was-
work all day.
and I'm at work all day.
Yeah.
So,
But is it funny about the food, because I can genuinely, it wasn't that long ago, probably, prior to COVID, but where there's just the two of us living at home now, the kids have fled the nest, they're living in the UK and whatever, we would do, and we don't go without, we're not kind of into fine dining and buying lobster and all this kind of stuff, but we eat well, we
Yeah.
eat what we want,
Yeah,
we'll
I
have
do.
a nice bottle of drink or whatever,
Yeah,
and
I
our
do.
average bill at Madonna was probably 110
Yeah.
euros a week, and that's the week when you're buying all your toiletries and your washing
Absolutely,
products
yeah,
and everything
yeah,
else.
yeah.
It's now gone up to at least 160 euros.
Yeah.
So
But it's
similar
the
to
same
the
in the
UK,
UK as well.
you've seen great big price
Oh, yeah,
hikes.
yeah,
in
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
I mean, milk and bread is the ones that you really notice.
But I still get friends coming. We use the gas bottles over here, most of us,
Yeah.
for the boilers. I've got friends who've got them over in the UK and buy them for the barbecues and all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And you're paying what? Because we're paying on the floor compared to what they're paying in the UK for a gas
Yeah.
bottle. But then on the difference is we're buying that on Spanish wages.
Yes.
And our wages are, a lot lower
Yeah,
than what they're
absolutely.
earning in the UK.
Yes.
So for us, it's still as painful buying the blooming gas bottles
Yeah.
and paying the raised electricity costs. It's,
Well,
Absolutely.
there's another question, because I'm still debating whether to put solar panels in. Now, the solar panel costs, I think, have come down quite considerably from, say, 4 or 5 years ago. So I think solar now here, for me, I think it's around the kind of 8,000 mark. If it's 8,000 euros, then it's a kind of number I've got to weigh up with, you know, the average electricity cost. We don't have any gas here. We don't have any
We're
gas.
electric for
We're all
everything.
electric.
yeah.
So for us, it's quite an easy change. So I've got, my lowest one is 55, my highest one is 190, let's say 100 euros. So average that out, 120. What's the payback for solar panels? At the moment, I think I'm probably going to put them in, but I need to think about things like the service of the panels, because it's not zero, you know, I've got to have them cleaned or whatever. So there's going to be a service charge. And the other thing that concerns me is I've got to repoint the roof at some point. You know, the joints in they do leak now and then, you've got to repoint them. I don't want solar panels that are going to restrict the way that I can get in. So there's a couple of things on the solar panels which I'll look at. But overall, I mean, that's the question, I think. Overall, cost of living here is probably slightly cheaper. I mean, alcohol is ridiculously cheap. Eating out is ridiculously cheap here.
Yeah.
I mean, we had El Rincon, really nice restaurant, 4 courses with a bottle of wine from.
That was for your birthday.
That's
in
the
December.
Castillo, isn't it?
Yeah.
El Castillo,
Yeah,
yeah.
El
We
Castillo.
went for Ronnie's 60th.
Yeah.
It was, and
Yeah.
that was my 60th, so it wasn't. We were looking for somewhere quite expensive, and it was 15 euros or 4. Was it 15 or 14?
Something like that, yeah.
15 euros with a bottle of wine between us.
So you push
And
the
a
boat out.
4 exactly.
Yeah.
4-course meal, and it was a really nice
Oh,
meal.
I mean, I couldn't have ordered any different.
And in
What
the
we ordered.
UK, that would have been more than double.
Yeah.
I mean, the wine would have cost you 15 quid.
Yeah.
You know, so and it was a nice bottle of wine. It was a house wine, but it was a nice bottle of wine.
Mm.
So I mean, here the wine's a lot cheaper. The alcohol's a lot cheaper.
Don't believe it.
€1 something for a bottle of wine.
One of the things I didn't want to do, Richard, was come here and because the alcohol is so cheap, drink on and sit around the pool all day. That was not for me. I
But
want
I
to do
don't
some
find
sport.
you do that.
I want
You
to
don't
do
have
some.
time to sit around
No,
the pool all
I
day.
want to do some sport. I want to learn a bit more Spanish. Probably want to play
you
a bit
wanna-
of golf.
Yeah, you want to play paddle and table
And
tennis
paddle
too, don't
and
you?
table tennis and all
Well,
that.
that leads me on. I was going to say, have you? I mean, I've taken up paddle. I've never played it
That's
before.
what Ronnie's
Have
wanted
you,
to
have
do.
you taken any
I've not
hobbies
had
up
time
or
because
anything
I've been
like that?
too busy sorting this damn
I'm
house
a
out.
badminton player, but I can't play badminton here.
I don't think there is any
Yeah,
badminton.
there used to be.
Did there?
And
If it's a badminton court anywhere near Alfine.
right, no, I'll tell you where it was. It was in Zohenna. And
Right.
as you go, you drive into Zohenna, they got that
Yes.
park bar. There's
Yeah.
this nondescript concrete building
Yeah.
on the left-hand side. That's actually a sports hall.
Is it indoor?
Oh,
or-
Indoor,
It's gotta
and
be
it was
indoor.
either a Monday or a Tuesday in the evening. There was a badminton club going on for years, and I can't imagine they've stopped because they had some very, very
That's
good
exactly
players.
what you want.
Even if it was Zohenna, it'd be fine. Even if it was Herkel.
Yeah.
I did play there about 4 or 5 years ago, and I used to be a very good badminton player. I hadn't played for about 20 years. Went there, and these guys were wiping the floor with me and getting very annoyed because I wasn't a really competent member of their doubles team, and I was letting them down. So it got to the point: who wants to play with Richard? Nobody, because they're not going to win.
Well, Ronnie's very good.
I would travel a bit.
Ronnie's a really good
I
badminton
wouldn't
player.
say that, but I was in a badminton club. and
Well, check
that's-
it out on the
Yeah.
Arboleas chapter. Go and say, is the badminton club still going on in
Absolutely.
Zohenna?
I'll
I
find
really-
out.
When I come here, there's badminton, there's table tennis, I want to look at paddle, golf. There's always.
There's a great table tennis club going down in
I'd
Arboleas.
like to think
Yeah.
I'm quite a sporty person. People might disagree with that, but
Well, you
I'd
like
to
paddle. I
think
mean, I play all the way down in Vera because
Oh,
I
play
go
before. I've got
down.
my own paddle.
Yeah, I go at 7 o'clock in the night because that's the only time I can get.
Yeah.
Whereas all the other guys
Well,
I
you
know
did
play
play
here
through
now
the
by the
day.
I wouldn't play in a
Yeah, but
heat-
down in
heat area.
Arboleas, they
But
play
you've got to
through the
play
day.
when it's a bit cooler. So you
Well,
can't-
yeah, they're doing that now, but what they've got is there's a
Richard's
WhatsApp
working.
group. So I never get to play in Arboleas because they're always playing in the day when I'm working.
Yeah.
Hardly anyone plays at the weekends. It's on a Wednesday or Thursday. So.
I would like to play badminton.
But
That's
down in the place to be, if you go and speak to the guys in there in the kitchen, they've got the WhatsApp group and they'll just join you as a member.
Oh,
And then
right.
people just go, anyone fancy a game on Wednesday morning, and then
Yeah.
you can just chip in.
A WhatsApp group's fine. I don't do Facebook.
Well, no, that's it. It's on WhatsApp. It's all done on WhatsApp. Would you, I suppose, would you say property in this location is quite nice because you've experienced living in Alicante or you have a holiday in there? Would you say this area represents very good value for money?
Absolutely,
Property
100%.
That's why we moved from Alicante,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why we couldn't get this place for what we can
Well,
afford.
we wanted a residential
Alicante.
home
and we
and
wanted
felt like a
residential,
home.
so-
We didn't
yes.
want a holiday home.
Yes.
And obviously
We
we've
wanted-
turned this
we
into
wanted a
our
community
own
where
house.
people live.
Yeah.
But this place in Alicante would be twice as
Oh,
much.
it would be $500,000 to buy this. Yeah.
It would
Really?
be-
Seriously,
no,
yeah.
Seriously.
You expect
Actually,
that,
you couldn't
yeah.
find
It's
it.
not,
Yeah,
it's
you
not
couldn't.
just the cost. There isn't the availability.
There isn't.
The
There isn't
availability
availability.
here for the type of property that we wanted, which was
Yeah.
pretty much a bungalow. For
Well,
when you're
well,
older,
yeah.
we don't want the
Yeah.
stairs.
I mean, because you've got a bungalow, you've got the land, we've got a lot of land out there. You know, I know because I
I think you're right.
A lot of
because
land for us,
But-
Yeah.
probably not a lot for other people.
budget is key, but I think what a lot of people do not realise is that also the style of property that you like is only available maybe in limited areas. Fine,
Absolutely,
if
yeah.
you want a two-bed apartment on a community, pick anywhere along the Spanish coast.
Absolutely.
Of
Yeah.
course, the cost is different if you're in Malaga than it is if you're in
Yeah.
Murcia, blah, blah, blah. Different coast resorts have different kind of price levels, but once you come onto the interior, if you like a villa style of property, you are very limited to the areas you can get it. You know, the whole
Yeah.
of Costa Blanca, yeah, you can get a quad villa, you can get a duplex,
Yeah.
you can get a little
Lots
sardine
of
tin on a
Alicante.
box, but
Yeah.
what you can't get is these nice
Yeah.
spacious villas. You can't
Richard,
get them in
Richard,
Granada.
our really beautiful penthouse apartments
It was
in
very
near
nice.
Lasenia where we were,
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful. We sold that for pretty much the same price we bought this.
Wow.
But that was an apartment, that was
Well,
a
you near Paddy's
three-bedroom
Point,
apartment.
near Paddy's Point.
Absolutely
Yeah,
near
yeah,
Paddy's
yeah,
Point,
yeah.
yeah.
And
But that was an
and
apartment.
for the same price we paid for this, I got more for my 3-bed
Yeah,
detached-
we're
in
detached
Dumfries.
house in
And
Dumfries.
Dumfries is a
Big
cheap area. for
detached
the
house.
UK. You know, if you're
Yeah.
selling something in the south,
Yeah,
you know, you kind of made up because you can pay for this and you.
Well, yeah, but it's
Yeah.
like
the rest into.
I love
Such value
Granada.
for money.
I love high end, for
Yeah.
example, but you cannot. It doesn't matter about the budget. They just didn't build this
These
style of
type of
property.
houses,
You know,
yeah.
if you want an old finca with 18,000 metres of olive grove, happy days, off you go.
Yeah.
Or if you want to be kind of
Yeah.
miles inland from the coast and it snows, happy days, off you go, Granada
Yeah.
and high end.
well, when
But-
we looked at this house was, I didn't like this house when we looked at it because it was so old fashioned, everything about it was old fashioned. Ronnie loved it, I didn't like it. I liked the garden, I liked the drive. I didn't like anything else, but I liked the kitchen, that was about it. But Ronnie loved it, and I loved where it was. I loved.
I'm fascinated. So essentially, you didn't like anything about the house, and yet you still bought it.
Well, I
Which
loved-
has changed everything.
I loved El Chopo, I loved the village that we're in. I loved
So,
the
you know,
village.
tell me as an agent, really, I should not listen to a word you say. I should show you houses I know you're not going to like because they're the ones you're going to buy. Is that what you're telling
Well,
me?
the thing is, I could have liked something different than this, but I didn't like where they were. I liked where it was the location on this that I liked too.
Yeah.
But because Ronnie liked this, I thought I can change it. And
Yeah.
now we've changed from a very old-fashioned house to a very modern house now, as you can see. It's very, very modern,
Do you-
and I love it. I wouldn't like any other house.
Everyone goes, you know, the price is the key.
Yeah,
That's the first thing. And then
Massive factor.
then the property, and of course, you know, you're wowed guys by the
it's your location
pretty
too.
pictures on the internet, blah blah blah. But it's so much more because it's got to be location.
Yeah,
It's got to be the curb appeal, the feel
Yeah.
when you get in. The price, yes, is key.
Yeah.
But it's the spec,
yeah,
the condition.
yeah.
It's a whole combination of 5 or 6 things. It's not just
Absolutely.
about the price. It's not just
It
about
wasn't just
you
the
know,
house for me, it was
has it got
where
a view?
it is.
Hasn't it got a view?
Yeah.
proximity to amenities, maybe not that important, but all of these things have got to work together, yet people just seem obsessed with two things, which is the price and the pretty pictures, and it's so much more than that at the end of the day.
You've also got to have a contingency. You need a contingency.
You need a plan.
We didn't, if we're honest, we didn't think we'd have to spend as much as we spent here. We had to spend quite a bit more to get it to our standard. And it's probably true of everybody. Everybody's probably got to spend a little bit more than they wanted to, because they move in, and for me it didn't need much doing, but it did. When you get in, you start, doing things and ripping doors, the whole thing's going to have to come out.
But I think we always try and say to people as well, go into a house, live in it for 6 or 7 months before you then start to make any major changes.
Yes.
No, I ripped out right away. I got rid of the furniture in the first week.
You were in quick, but I think that it's a very valid point, especially when it comes to the outside space, because it's such an exciting experience for a lot of people. There's the nerves, it's scary, but at the same time, once they've committed, it's whoa, and then it can be so easy to go absolutely crazy. Every room in the house represents a huge potential budget overspend. Just in choosing a wood burner or a pellet burner, you could spend €800 all the way up to £4,500. And the kitchens, 7,000 for something, all the way up to 26 grand. And it's like, you could blow the budget out of the roof. And
I think the other thing as well though, Richard, was because we'd had a place in Spain for 7 years before we moved here, and I'd lived in Spain from February till October buying here. When I moved in here, I was already living in Spain. Other people have bought a property and that's their first experience of living in Spain when they move into their house. I'd already spent the money on the place that we bought that was brand new, that really didn't need much doing, but I'd already spent honest money on that anyway. It's doing extras.
do you know the thing? I don't know what you think, and again, it's a yes and no. There's a lot of a store, I suppose, in our businesses. You see lots of agents, us included. Key ready, bring a toothbrush. I don't think that bloody property exists. I don't think it does.
No, it doesn't.
The problem is that women are nest builders. Men look at a property.
That is the problem.
It's fine, everything's good. And when we moved in, Jeanette never said anything when we moved in. First thing she wanted to do was to get rid of all the furniture. And I thought, well, what's wrong with the furniture? Because it's not her furniture. That's the problem.
Well, it wasn't my
but it's the same for any woman.
It's the same for any woman. I can't say that it's the ladies that are totally responsible, because I'm just as bad. I would walk into somewhere, I've got to put my own stamp on it. Whether it's buying stuff at the garden centre, whether it's changing the lighting, doing something. Wendy's bad as well, but I think all of us are guilty of it. But I think it's just the point that this so-called bring your toothbrush, get on your sunbed, I don't think it exists for anybody. So if you're thinking of buying, I think you've always you've got to have some contingency for this.
You need to have an extra wee bit of money that you didn't know you were going to need.
But you will. Who's buying that patio set? These wrap-down patio sets. It's eye-watering what they bloody cost. And again, I've seen people with 3 of these in one garden at £3,500 a pop. So and they're new. They've just moved in and they've got 3 patio sets now. Well, that's a £9,000 expenditure that maybe they didn't budget for.
If it was still me, I'd still have the original furniture. But for Jeanette, it wasn't good enough. So
actually, the garden centre man now calls me his friend.
Yeah, I bet he does. Go. So this week a bit different, but this week's cheese of the week is again from Lidl's for the princely sum of £1.99. I think that's the cheapest cheese we've sampled. If you'd like to give it a try, guys, and give us your opinion, and I'll tell you what it is.
Delicious.
Yeah. Well, it's a winner of a gold award at the World Cheese Awards 2022-2023. So for £1.99 from Lidl's, I think that's quite very reasonable. It's called Anejo Pedro Jimenez. Pedro Jimenez is like a port, and they've kind of put that inside the cheese, laced it with Pedro Jimenez. Yeah, and I've tried it myself and I thought it was absolutely delicious. So it's aged and laced with Pedro Jimenez. That's it.
Can't go wrong with it then.
Yeah, and it's a combination of sheep, goat and cow's milk. So it's not one. Yeah, there you go. So a winner again. Cheese of the week. Aneco Pedro Jimenez
It's very good.
from Lidl's.
All the time, every week. I was going when I ripped everything out of the garden.
We've tried really hard to keep these interviews, but I've been enjoying myself so much this evening. I think we've probably got about 7 or 8 minutes over time, so I'm not sure. But I've got to ask the final question: would you consider yourself thriving in Spain or surviving?
Thriving.
Absolutely,
Absolutely thriving.
100%
Yeah, thriving.
I would not do anything different again.
Yeah,
And I would still, even though I've spent a lot of money on this place, I would still buy it.
Yeah.
Well, here's to that continuing, and thank you ever so much, guys, for making me so welcome.
And thank you for finding this property for us, because it was clean homes.
The lovely Hannah, I think, really should take the
it
credit.
is Hannah, yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's absolutely
The
brilliant.
lovely Hannah.
Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed that, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Yeah.
Bye now.
Bye.